Today we are looking at the Ultimate Performance Cruiser from Indian. This is the brand new 2023 Sport Chief, and today I'm going to tell you what I like, what I don't like about this motorcycle, who I think it's for, all of the features that make it what it is, and of course, we're going to do some riding on this thing as well. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit your notifications. I'm always doing reviews just like this, gear reviews, demonstrations, differences between different pipes, all kinds of stuff right here in one place. Now, of course, I got to thank my guys here at American Biker in Lassen, South Carolina. If you need a Sport Chief like this one, a used Harley, Ravaco, whatever, make sure you come talk to Rob here at American Biker. Let's go ahead and talk about the features that make up the Sport Chief. So everything is performance driven for this motorcycle. So starting at the front, Pirelli Night Dragon tire, 19-inch wheel in the front, 16 in the rear, dual Brembo brake setup in the front with semi-floating rotors. You have inverted KYB front forks, and then you also have this 6.5-inch windscreen. So we'll see how it does on the road. They actually have these little vents on the side, so everything's designed to be aerodynamic and push some of the air over you. Now, it's not going to do as good as a big tall windscreen or a fairing, of course, but it should do a pretty good job. Aesthetically though, that's where you get the biggest benefit from something like that, okay? So you have the 6-inch moto style bars. So if we were in a Super Chief Limited, where you're going to have more of an upright position, with the Performance Cruiser, you're going to be more like this, but you're not going to be leaned down. So that's where the 6-inch riser really helps you. You're going to have a slight bend to your back, but you're going to be able to really kind of hug the bike and get your legs up around the tank to be able to do the kind of roads that this is built for. Curvy roads, twisties, S-turns, all of that kind of stuff. This thing, I'm sure, will do pretty good in the mountains. Now, unfortunately, I just came from the mountains. I really wish I had something like this while I was up there, but I'll do the best I can to show you around here where I live anyways. You have the 4-inch ride command. So similar to the 7-inch on the big touring motorcycles, this is going to give you pretty much everything that one will as well. TFT display, ride modes, of course, and you also have live weather updates, navigation, Bluetooth, all of that kind of stuff packed into this little instrument cluster. What I like is that it kind of gives you simple instrumentation, but it also is very powerful in the features that you get out of it. Of course, you have Bosch ABS on this motorcycle, and then you also have cable clutch right here, cruise control, you have your music adjuster right here, and then of course you have your selector switch right here, horn, high beam, low beam, all of that good stuff. So as far as size, 685 pounds and a 27-inch seat height. So it's a little bit taller than some of the other motorcycles that they make, but you also have an inch more suspension travel because of the Fox shocks in the rear. Now these are adjustable for preload, but what I found on Indian's website is that you can actually get the upgraded piggyback Fox shocks. On the top and the bottom, you have these little twist knobs on the adjustable Fox shocks, and so it allows you to push more fluid through the reservoirs, giving you even more control for the suspension in the rear and an extra inch of travel at the same time. You have a 4-gallon tank, so as far as getting to wherever you're going to go, it's going to give you a pretty decent range. Not as good as a big touring bike, but still you're going to be able to get pretty good range. By the way, this is their black smoke. They also have a red one, and I think a blue and a gray one. I could be wrong about the blue, but I know there's a gray one as well. But as far as my favorite color, it has to be the red one. It looks absolutely incredible. So you have LEDs all the way around. You have your pipes on the one side of the bike, and then you have a side-mounted license plate, LEDs front and rear, mid controls, and a 6-speed transmission completes the motorcycle. Obviously, I know that the Chief is a torquey machine, and it's going to be fun in the corners, and you know, you're going to be able to get a lot of power and stuff from it, but I want to see how comfortable this bike is too. The Fox shocks, I'm really interested to see how it absorbs the road, because I'm impressed with Fox. I love what they do on my truck. I love what they do on the Challenger that I've ridden in the past. So I really want to see how comfortable this bike is. I also want to see how good this windscreen actually deflects. We'll check out the ride modes and just get an overall opinion of the Sport Chief, let me go ahead and grab my helmet and let's saddle up. The 2023 Indian Sport Chief. Check out the FTR light. Fairly certain that's the FTR light right there. I like how it has a little halo while it's, you know, on, running. Let's actually start it up. See what it looks like. There you go. High beam, low beam. Let's try out the high beam. Boom. There you go. 6 LEDs all together. Inverted KYB front forks. We've already talked about all this stuff. Now we're gonna see how this thing rides. Let's try it out. So, with gloves on, boom, no problem at all. We can adjust it like that, or we can kind of do like that. So I think what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna go to the gauges. I kind of like that one right there. All right, 2023 Sport Chief. Let me adjust these mirrors just a little bit. Really anxious to see how comfortable this bike can be. Man, I wish I had this thing in Tennessee when we took our road trip, or something like it. Well, maybe I wouldn't have liked that. So what I'm feeling right now is just a little bit of a bend right below my lower back. So you have the middle of your back, and then you have your low back. Right there in the middle of those two is where I'm feeling it. And that's kind of what you would expect with a bike like this. It's a performance cruiser, right? So if you're looking for something that's going to be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more upright, this probably won't be the best option for you, although handlebars and stuff can change that, but it's also going to change kind of how you ride a bike like this. Now, if you don't have any back issues, well, you won't have that to worry about at all. How well is it going to do on longer trips? Well, I guess that depends on how much you can take. Now, this seat feels rigid. It looks good, but I don't know about a long road trip. I think changing out of the seat might be a good idea. Now, I was going to take this thing on the interstate, but it's so boring, dude. I really just want to take it around some of the more curvy kind of whatever roads around here. I've kind of got that itch now that I've been to Tennessee on a motorcycle. 6-speed transmission, shifts really smoothly. The clutch engages, boom, right there. Fellow rider, brother. Hey, brother. We'll try it in sport mode here, too. There we go. Yeah, so the suspension kind of, rear suspension, it feels firm, and when I'm going over some of these little bumps, it's kind of absorbing it pretty well. It just feels firm. It's got a firm feel to it. Of course, you have LED lighting all the way around, which is fantastic. Brakes work really good. Those front Brembo brakes, of course, doesn't get much better than that, man. They grab really well. These tires are brand new. I don't really want to push them too much because they haven't had time to really break in. You can see this bike only has 16 miles, so we're not going to push it just yet. Inverted front forks. Yeah, I think I'm going to hit a little bit bigger bump up here just to kind of see how that does. Now, personally, aesthetic wise, just like the Lowrider, I'm a fan of how this bike looks. Big motor, kind of that mid soft tail frame, under 700 pounds, and you get this aggressive styling, right? But you're going to get this aggressive ride posture too, right? So fortunately they did put the risers on here, so it makes it more comfortable than what it would be obviously with a lower set of bars or a lower riser. So they kind of went halfway in between there, you know what I mean? Fellow bike riders, hey riders. And one nice thing about the Indians is when you pull in the clutch, see the gear indicator does not go away. Watch my speed through here. They like to pull you over here, but I assume they'll get the avalanche before they get me. I guess I shouldn't assume anything. Probably not, actually. I take that back. So who is this bike for, man? Well, if you are somebody, and this is what I love about that trip that I took, because I can really reference things like this in confidence now. But if you're somebody that is going to be doing a lot of mountain twisties, S-turns, you know, hairpins, stuff like that, this will be a good bike for you. Now, do you want to ride it to the mountains? Like, let's say you don't live that close to the mountains. Do you want to ride it there, or do you want to trailer it there? Well, me personally, I'd probably trailer it there, you know, unlike a big touring bike. Let's take a left right here. So great for that type of riding. Urban environments, yeah, sure. You know, commuting, of course, it'd be a good option. Bike nights, you know, bar hopping, if that's your thing. Yep, I think so. Make sure this guy stops. He does. Perfect. Getting quite a bit of vibration up through the handlebars. Oh, okay. Never mind. It goes away fairly quickly once you get into a little bit higher gear. You know, I was really surprised they didn't put bags on these yet, just because of who it's competing with or what it's competing with. I really wish they would have done that. You can't be serious that we got behind the slowest person to ever drive this road. Oh, thank God they're turning. Because with a set of bags and a different seat, you know, you could do some light touring on this bike. Now, if you're a new rider, I don't know that you want this bike. It's super torquey, man, and although it can be forgiving, it ain't gonna be as forgiving as something like an Indian Scout. So you want to keep that in your head, man. This bike has a lot of torque, dude. So we're gonna try switching it to sport. Now it won't change right now, but it will change whenever we come back to a stop. The Ride Command is pretty freaking awesome, dude. You get live weather updates, you get traffic updates, you get Bluetooth. I mean, it's a pretty awesome system. I'm a fan of it because of the simplicity, but also because of how useful it is. Bosch ABS, of course. So this bike has a lot of safety features and a lot of upgrades that a 2023 should have, while keeping a fairly minimal and classic style. I can find myself riding like this quite often, where I'm kind of trying to sit up straight, you know, hand on the throttle, this hand kind of, you know, chilling over here, just because of that seating position. But again, that leads to a more performance driven kind of, you know, being able to tuck in and really take control depending on the roads that you're on. I'd really love to have this thing up in the mountains, man, and see how it does up there. If you're going to be riding with a passenger, it is something that has enough power, right, to do that. You got a little bit smaller frame though, so you and your passenger are going to be fairly close unless you get a separate pillion and driver's seat and kind of do the split seat there. But essentially, you're still going to be kind of close. It's a smaller bike, but it's got enough power and torque to move, you know, two of you around. Of course, you got the Fox shocks, so you're going to be able to absorb a good amount of the road. I kind of want it to, oh yeah, right there. Yeah, so because that rigid feeling when you're on just normal pavement, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. But once you hit something like what I just did, you know, a decent sized little pothole there, it just absorbs it so quickly. And absorbs it really nicely, man. I didn't feel like I was jolted out of position. And I think I want to put Fox shocks on the Road Glide. Like I said, I'm impressed with Fox from having them in my truck, and the Fox monoshock that's on the Challenger. That is a really nice setup. So I'm impressed with Fox. I like a lot of what they do. On this bike, it just feels kind of rigid, you know what I mean? A lot of bikes out today, dude. It's a beautiful day for it. Of course, again, here's your turn signals, horn. Let's see how the horn, well, we'll check it here in a minute. Cylinder deactivation. We're, of course, now in sport mode. Clutch, let me show you that, where that engages. Boom. It's going to engage right there. So it doesn't put a lot of pressure on your hand. RPM gauge, of course, is digital, but it kind of looks like analog setup. So that's why I'm a fan of the Ride Command. It's got everything that you would want, plus additional features. Now, they said it was 27-inch seat height, but I can flat foot this bike no problem. I'm 5'7", so there's really no issue with that at all. Oh yeah, that throttle is way touchier. And so right here in third gear, that's where I feel a lot of vibration. You can see it. Then I switch to fourth gear. It smooths out way more, right? So pretty crazy. It's a buzzy little kind of motor there, but once you get in the right gear, it smooths out pretty well. So I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this little short ride here, and once we get back to the shop, I'll give you my overall opinion, pros and cons on the Sport Chief as I see it. See y'all in a minute. All right, just got done with my short little test ride there with the Sport Chief, and what I can say as far as pros are, first of all, the aesthetics. Blacked out everything, little pieces of chrome or like a brushed look to kind of break everything up, but the aesthetics of the bike I'm a fan of. This front fairing, they did a really nice job of just kind of this old school look to it, and yet it wraps all the way around the FTR light. To me, this looks really good. Now, functionally, how much wind is it gonna keep off of you in a long ride? That's probably not much, okay? But aesthetically, it looks really good. I also do like the fact that they put these 6.5-inch risers on here. That makes the bike more comfortable. Now, again, I understand that it is a performance cruiser, okay? I totally understand that. And so you want a more aggressive stance. But just me personally, I gotta be comfortable on it to enjoy it, and most people do as well. And so having my back, again, you got my middle back, my low back, right in the middle of that is where I kind of had a little bit of a hunch to my back. And I wanna show you that too, riding kind of around the parking lot. But all in all, at least it sits up a little bit taller and I'm not bent over quite as much, okay? Mid-style controls, and again, you can kind of tuck your knees up against the tank and really get full control of this thing. So again, I imagine in Tennessee or in North Carolina where you got the mountains, even upstate South Carolina, this thing would be a heck of a lot of fun. I'm a fan of the Ride Command. I think that is a great system, gives you a lot of information, easy to use, works with gloves, all of that good stuff. Ride modes give you different feeling of the throttle, so you can really open the thing up, or you can take it easy if it's raining outside or whatever. 4-gallon tank, the black smoke looks good. Again, I kind of prefer the red. All the controls work well. And then you have the Fox shocks. So I feel like you're gonna get a more rigid ride, but again, going over bumps and things like that, those things absorb really well. I'm really interested to see how the $1,500 upgraded Fox shocks would do on this bike, but you know, of course, we don't have them on these, but I'm sure they would probably be even better and maybe even a little bit more comfortable as opposed to the rigid ride you get with these. So all in all, a lot of great features. There are a few cons though that I wanted to talk about. Do I really need to mention that the seat, the Gunfighter seat, looks good, but there's no way I'd want my ass in this thing for more than probably 80 miles, maybe. So the seat needs to be swapped. Also, I noticed when I come to a stop and I put my right leg down, that heat shield right there on the exhaust, it would always touch the inside of my calf there. So it's just because of me. It's not really the bike, but I kind of have to spread my legs out a little bit further in order to keep my leg off of that heat shield. But other than that stuff, you get a really nice performance motorcycle with a lot of great features, and it's something that a lot of people could get into. You know, it's not super tall. So if you're, you know, coming from like sport bikes and this is something that you're looking at and you're like, man, I really want to do a lot of riding in the twisties, but I don't want to be full bent over a tank on a sport bike, a Busa, whatever, but I want to be able to get more lean angle than a standard big cruiser. This may be a good middle ground for you. Super lightweight compared to the big heavyweight cruisers as well, so you can kind of whip it around and do your thing with it. All in all, man, this is a fantastic motorcycle for what it is. But again, I don't think touring or anything like that, long distances, I don't know how much of a fan I would be of it then. But around town, and again, the mountains, which I'm still obviously thinking about because I've only brought it up a half a dozen times in this video, mountain riding, bike nights, things like that, this thing is fantastic. So that's my opinion, but of course I want to hear what yours is of the Sport Chiefs. Is there anything that you're disappointed with in the bike? Like personally, I wish they kind of came with bags. So that's just me though, but again, that's kind of something I can't wait to see once they get it in the accessory catalog. I'd love to hear your opinion of the Sport Chief down below. Again, if you like what I do, you can subscribe right here. Costs you absolutely nothing. But if you want to support what I do further, you can also do that through Patreon, link in the description. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.